According to a new survey, the country's outdated labour laws are causing a negative impact on employment generation and development. And in sports news, tailender Prasanna Jayawardene scores an impressive 61 runs as Sri Lanka sets England a target of 340 runs to win the first test match played at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. Also on the news tonight, Entertainment First will take a preview of the sing-off round of the Yes Superstar Season 2 that's nearing its grand finale. All this and more right now on News First.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Kumarini Rajakaruna. As always, let's start off the news with a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
The President says that the government is committed to go any distance to reach a sustainable peace. A group of lawyers from Colombo keep away from court this morning. And 12,795 school candidates have failed all subjects at the GCE ordinary level examination.
For the stories in detail now. A group of lawyers from Colombo refrained from appearing in court this morning. This was in protest over the alleged attack on a lawyer at the Nugegoda Magistrates Court. The lawyer was appearing on behalf of the suspects connected to the killing of 2 Buddhist monks at the Kotte Raja Mahavihara recently.
Attorney at Law Gunaratna Vanninayaka said that lawyers appearing at the Colombo Magistrates Court, District Court and High Court had stayed away from work today. A group of lawyers expressed their protest at the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court premises by obstructing the entrance to the court complex. A lawyer was attacked when he was appearing on behalf of his client, but the police have not taken any action so far. We demand that all those involved in this crime be arrested. We request the IGP to give an assurance to immediately arrest the suspects. The lawyers who obstructed the main entrance came in for harsh criticism from those who arrived to attend to their legal issues. A heated exchange took place at this instance. Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police Anura Senanayaka arrived at the location and held discussions with the lawyers. Following an agreement reached during the meeting, the group of lawyers returned to the courts.
DIG Anura
Senanayaka gave us an assurance that the attackers will be taken into custody. If this is done, then we will not protest any further. Otherwise, we will continue to carry out protests across the island.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the government is committed to go to any length so as to establish a sustainable peace through reconciliation. The President expressed this view while declaring open Expo 2012 in Colombo this morning.
Expo 2012, a premier international trade fair, is being held at the BMICH in Colombo. Speaking at the opening, the President noted that the trust foreign investors have placed in Sri Lanka has not declined as a result of the false propaganda that is being carried out by various groups.
Your presence here today shows the failure of the efforts of those who still support the agenda of separatist terror that prevented development in Sri Lanka for more than 3 decades. You are here today with a measure of confidence in Sri Lanka that has not been diminished by false propaganda that is currently spread by those who are trying to prevent investment flowing to our country. It is my belief that the large international presence at this event is a clear indication of the growing awareness in the world of the new investment opportunities in Sri Lanka.
The President later inspected the exhibition grounds. Expo 2012 will be held until the 31st of this month.
The BBC Sandesha reports that the Elders, which is a group of former world leaders brought together by former South African President Nelson Mandela, has urged Sri Lanka to try and avoid another showdown in the United Nations Human Rights Council by adhering to the recent resolution adopted by the Council. Former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Mary Robinson told BBC Sandesha that the Elders were very pleased that the UN HRC adopted a resolution on Sri Lanka. Saying that the resolution was not a Western-sponsored one, Robinson insisted that it was not an attempt to do down a country. Chaired by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the Elders is an independent group of global leaders who work together for peace and human rights. Former US President Jimmy Carter and former President of Finland Martti Ahtisaari are among those serving in the Elders group, while Burmese pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi is an honorary elder.
Russia says that the UN Human Rights Council has been discredited due to the passing of the US-backed resolution on Sri Lanka at the 19th session of the Council in Geneva, Switzerland. Russia's ambassador to India, Alexander M. Kalekin, said the resolution was, quote, politically motivated, unquote. The Times of India quoted Kalekin as saying, quote, Sri Lanka was India's sovereign decision. The resolution was politically motivated and has discredited the UN HRC, unquote. The ambassador's comments come ahead of the BRICS summit, which will be held with the participation of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa in the Indian capital, New Delhi. Both Russia and China voted against the resolution on Sri Lanka at the UNHRC.
Former Secretary General of SAARC, Dr. Nihal Rodrigo, says that India was forced to vote for the US-backed resolution on Sri Lanka at the 19th session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, Switzerland, due to coalition compulsions. He made this comment while delivering the first SAARC Cultural Center Foundation Day lecture last evening.
The event was held at the auditorium of the Lakshman Kadirgama Institute in Colombo yesterday.
Central governments, including the largest member of SAARC, India, have not always been able to control political groups within their own territorial borders from interfering in the affairs of neighboring states. And at the UN General Assembly, I think it was last year, Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh very frankly commented on what he called the growing assertion of separate identities and ethnic, cultural and religious intolerance which threaten our development efforts and our cooperation to combat terrorism, unquote. Such assertions of separate identities, highly politicized domestically in India, affected Sri Lanka, for example, when a US-sponsored resolution on the basis that, quote-unquote, concern should be addressed so that Tamil people in Sri Lanka can get justice and lead a life of dignity, unquote. The former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Mr. Karunanidhi, head of the Dravida Munnetra Kasagam, was asked by reporters in Chennai whether, following the resolution, there was now a possibility of a separate state of Tamil Eelam in Sri Lanka being established. Mr. Karunanidhi responded publicly that for him, that is the goal. Now, the goal of a separatist monoethnic state of Eelam pursued with unprecedented murderous violence by a terrorist group, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil, did not have support even of the majority of Tamils in Sri Lanka. Now, India supported the UNHCR resolution due to what an Indian newspaper very bluntly called coalition compulsions.
Welcome back to the news. Let's now take a look at the cartoon that we selected from the daily papers today. Minister Bandula Gunawardena, who is the subject of the cartoon in the Rivira newspaper today, addressing a media briefing once again reiterated that an individual can live with just 2,500 rupees a month.
කාලා බීලා මැරෙන්නේ නැතුව මිනිස්සුෙකුට ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
A person can eat, drink and live with a sum of 2,500 rupees. A large number of students live in such a manner in college hostels. This is subject matter for me. I have been teaching economics for 15 years. I can debate this with statistics with anyone who has done economics as a subject for GCE ordinary level and got through and did it for the GCE advanced level and got through and studied the subject for 4 years at university.
ඕනෑම විද්වතෙක් එක්ක මට පුළුවන් සංවාදයකට එන්න.
Moments after the views expressed by Minister Bandula Gunawardena were aired on our sister channel Sirasa TV on the primetime news bulletin at 7 p.m. today, the General Secretary of the New Samasamaja Party, Dr. Vikramabahu Karunaratne, called and informed News First that he would take up the challenge thrown by Minister Bandula Gunawardena.
A new survey has revealed that the outdated labour laws in the country have a negative impact on employment generation and development. The survey has been conducted with the assistance of the International Labour Organization by the Employers Federation of Ceylon amongst their member organizations.
A media briefing was held in Colombo yesterday to create awareness about the survey carried out by the Employers Federation of Ceylon on the impact of labour laws on employment generation.
91% of those who responded to our survey observed that labour laws are a constraint on employment generation in Sri Lanka. The Shop and Office Employees Act also has been identified, especially in the manufacturing and service sectors, as a piece of legislation having a negative impact on employment generation. One of the significant drawbacks that has been identified in relation to the inability of Sri Lanka to gain demographic dividends has been the unusually low labour force participation rate of Sri Lankan females. We have already proposed to the Honourable Minister of Labour and Labour Relations that the Shop and Office Employees Act should be amended to enable female employees in the business of information technology enabled services to work during the night in an office.